Welcome to Happy Herbivore Live. I'm Scott Nixon, the host. I'm also the co-founder of Happy Herbivore with my wife, Lindsay. And on this show, we interview people that have had success either with our meal plans or the Blueprint products. And today we are talking to Pam. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. So one of the things I want to kind of get at right away is tell me a little bit about your story and how you came to like the plant-based vegan diet.
Okay. Well, I've been vegetarian for a really long time, so there's a lot of stories I could tell over the years, but I think the big one was when I just became a vegetarian. I was an art student. I didn't have much money, and so I went shopping. I wanted to make a chicken stir fry. I couldn't afford to get the nice boneless, skinless chicken, so I went and bought the breast with all the bones and skin and everything. And I was sitting there working on it, taking all the stuff off I didn't like, and started really looking at it closely, and it started to become kind of a little dissection kind of thing, and then I started smelling it, and I got completely grossed out and decided that I was just going to dump it. And I made my stir fry vegetarian, and I was so happy. I realized, oh my God, I've never really liked meat, and I'm always picking at it. So I became a vegetarian, and then years ago, I got inspired by Chris Carr and her journey, and decided to try going vegan. I've been going vegan kind of on and off. And then most recently, I've been really successful because I just decided I was just going to really stick with it and commit to it. And also my husband decided to go pretty much plant-based. So at least at home, we have no cheese or anything like that around anymore. And that was always my downfall. So if he's not buying cheese and it's not in the fridge, then I'm not going to eat it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So has your husband been vegetarian for a while, or?
No, he's been omni for the whole. We've been married together for 22 years. He's been omni the whole time. Typically, I would make something vegetarian to eat, and then he would add meat to it. And so sometimes he would eat vegetarian, but it was never, I don't know, it was always difficult. It was always a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he decided to go plant-based, I'm like, oh yay, I can, you can eat what I'm eating, but he's not ready yet.
Yeah.
So he's eating the meats, the vegan meats and things like that, and he likes to use a lot of oil, like not just a little, like a lot. I'm like, whoa, he's like going like this into the pan. I'm like, okay,
wow,
I'll let you eat that. So
yeah. And so,
I'm hoping his taste will change and he'll come around eventually.
So one of the things that you had said in your interview that you made a serious change about a year ago. Can you kind of explain the catalyst of why you made that serious change?
Yeah, well, about a year and a half ago, I decided, really sat down, looked at my life for my New Year's resolutions. This was January 2017, and looked at what was working for me and what was not working for me. And there were a lot of things, and my weight was one of them. And I had been doing Meal Mentor for probably, embarrassing to say, 4 or 5 years, and my weight had fluctuated. And I know why. It's not because, the meals were great. It was just that I was doing other stuff. So I made this plan to make all these changes in my life, and I made almost all the changes except for the food one, because that seemed like the hardest thing. So I saved that for the last. So I went through every room in my house. I organized and cleaned everything. I started getting up early to do my art in the morning, meditating. I started walking to work every day, which is about 3.4 miles up and down the hills. I'm in San Francisco.
Wow.
And so I was doing all these things, and finally I'm like, okay, I really need to work on this, and snacking was my downfall. So I think it was last year, it was in October, there was a 10 and 10 challenge. It was losing 10 pounds, and I thought, okay, I'm already doing all these great things. I've cut out a couple things. I'm going to really commit. And I noticed my weight starting to go down. And I think that was the biggest encouragement for me, was just, you know, when the scale finally starts to move, and then it moves a little more, and so I just kept going. And, you know, there were some ups and downs, but mostly down. And, yeah, so since then I've lost, so since about August of last year, I've lost 30 pounds.
Ooh, that's awesome.
I know. It's like, it's a lot of weight.
It is.
He's like,
is.
What? You lost 30 pounds? Like, I know you lost a lot, but that's a lot of weight. I'm like, I when I think about it, I don't really, I know how it happened, but I kind of don't know how it happened.
Yeah. Back in 2011, whenever maybe it was 2009, I worked at a company in Los Angeles, and I came in and I was talking to to a bunch of my coworkers at the same time, and they maybe they made some comment about that I'd lost weight, and I said, yeah, I've lost about 30 pounds, and he's like, wow, he's like, that's like a bag of rice. And so because this was so I guess whenever you know, in Asian cultures, maybe a lot of the folks shop, they buy 30-pound bags of rice because they're literally eating it almost every meal or whatever. And so it was a very it was a very memorable thing that my weight loss was attached to, and because you can occasionally when I'm shopping, I'll see stuff like that it's like a 30-pound of something that's like, holy crap. So I just wanted to share that visual to that I had associated with. Yeah.
Where was it? You know?
Yeah.
How was that? Or it makes me think of Oprah when she lost, 60 pounds or something. She brought out a big truckload of lard that equaled 60 pounds. And
wow.
It was like, whoa, just seeing that visual is stunning. And, I think of it in terms of animals. So like I lost a small dog.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are enjoying this interview, please like and leave some comments. Tell us where you're from. That way we'll make sure that this video gets spread and more people see it. And because I really have enjoyed everything that you've had to share so far, Pam. One of the things I'm curious, because you basically said that you kind of went through your whole life and you changed all of these things. Was there one particular thing that started that whole thing? You know, obviously I know you kind of left the food for last, but I'm kind of curious what got you, what was that thing? So I'm an art teacher and I'm also an artist. And I teach art to kindergarten to 8th grade. So I'm full-time. It's really intense job. It's, I'm 5 days a week. I'm working often late at night with meetings and things on the weekends. And I didn't really have much time in my life for my art. And when I don't make art for a long time, I feel just, I just really unhappy and kind of empty inside. And one of the big things I knew I needed to do was make more art. And so I sat there and thought, well, how am I going to make that happen? And for one, my studio was such a mess. I couldn't really make art in there. So I thought, well, I have to clean my studio. If I clean my studio, I kind of have to clean the rest of the house too, because everything is interconnected. My studio's in a second bedroom. So I started with just kind of organizing and cleaning out things, and that started in January, and by the summer, my studio was looking, it took me, it was like crazy. It took 9 full days for me to go through every single thing in my studio and clean it up. Wow.
And organize it. But it was amazing. So it's been great since then, and I immediately started making art. But then the other thing is, well, when that was summer, when I go back to school, what am I going to do? I still need to make art. And I decided that, I have more energy in the morning, and I was already getting up early, and I thought, well, we'll try getting up a little earlier. So I started getting up at 4:30, and wow. I would meditate for 15 minutes or so, and then work on my art for maybe 45. And then I felt like I needed more time. So Now it's summer, so I'm not doing this now, but I get up at 4 a.m. and I meditate and I work on whatever project I'm doing, whether it's painting or embroidery or jewelry making, whatever it is. And then I go to work and I've got my, so by 8 a.m. I've got my art done, my meditation done, my exercise done, and I'm ready for my day. So
wow.
it's,
wow.
So that made a big difference. And also just feeling like physically feeling like my clothes were getting tighter, and I did not want to buy more clothes. I did not want to spend the money on buying fatter clothes because I was sick of that. And I have a closet full of skinnier clothes that I would love to fit into. So that was also my inspiration. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And so I incorporated walking to work into my routine as well. And it's funny because I used to think that I couldn't walk to work, like it was too far. That was just too far. It's hilly and it would take forever. And I had to leave extra early, and it is far. It took me at least 50 minutes to walk to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would walk part of the way home. It's harder going home at the end of the day, but it's also much more steep going home. Like I go downhill a lot when I go to work, but coming home. So, and then in the process of doing that, there was this woman. So this is a silly story, but there was this woman who walks really, really fast, and sometimes I would come across her and I could never catch up with her on my walk. And so one day I thought, I'm gonna run. I don't want her to pass me. So I got this big backpack because I got my overnight oats and my lunch and everything in there. And so I started running down the hill, and I realized I really liked it. It was fun to run down the hill. And so I started doing that every day, just running on the downhills. And then I started running on the flats. And then I thought, well, I never thought I could run to work, but I started working on the uphills, and now I can run all the way to work. And I'm in probably the best shape I've ever been. And
wow.
It's just because it's integrated in my life instead of something extra that I have to do at the end of the day. It's just part of how I get to work in the morning. And so there's no question about whether I'm going to do it or not. I have to get to work, so I'm going to run.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, there's so much there.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, the running thing, that's really cool because it's like you just progressed. It was just like, well, and you were like challenged by somebody else. So that's really, really neat. And wow, in 50 minutes, I would guess that if it took you 50 minutes to walk, it probably takes you like 30 minutes to run there. It's probably a lot quicker, right?
Well, I'm pretty slow, so it's probably more like 40 minutes.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's really cool. So, wow. So there was so much to this transformation that you've gone through.
Yes.
I mean, and I think it's really key to focus on what was that original thing, because that original thing was like, there's this like, so much of your identity is probably tied up in being an artist, right? And it was that really like, you're like, I'm so like far from this thing that's a huge part of my identity that I've got to like fix that. And then once you just did that, it unleashed this like virtuous cycle of where you kind of just started cleaning up all kinds of other things in your life. And that's awesome. And I tend to like run off on these tangents whenever I start talking, but I experienced something similar to this about 3 years ago, or 2 to 3 years ago, where I was not enjoying my work as much. And what I eventually realized was that I wasn't connected back to the stuff that I really enjoyed. And for me, that's a lot around science and technology and learning of that stuff. And maybe a little application is good as well, but sometimes I can just spend a lot of time learning. And I was disconnected from that. And I think that kind of fix my disenchantment with work and has then helped progress in other ways. But your story is, I love how compact it is, and how you were able to just go from cleaning up the studio to get your art done to, I guess you said what next it was like you started cleaning up your house, your entire house, and then you then you got to the the running and the exercise, and then you came back to the diet stuff. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah, and I actually didn't start with the studio. I started with the easier parts of the house because the studio, I knew I needed time off to do that, so I waited till the summer. So instead I, cleaned up the bathroom, cleaned the hall closets, straightened out the bedroom and things like that. And then eventually I got to the, when I knew I had time to commit to my studio, which is horrible, just horrible. Yeah. And I took a picture of it before I cleaned it up and I put it in there to remind myself of how bad it was. And I will never, ever, ever let that happen again. That was bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The
running, I was going to say with the running, with challenging myself, I didn't want to hurt myself. So I would just do every day I would do 10 more steps. And I somehow was able to remember how many steps I did, going up this hill. Okay, today I'm just going to do 20 steps, running up that hill. And then the next day, 30 steps. And so eventually I was able to get to the top, but it took a while, but that little gradual bit, it was just enough that I could bite. I could do 10 more steps.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and to me, I feel like your story is a great example of how we see how connected everything in our life is to the food choices we make and many other choices. The more we kind of bring order and kind of, routine to everything, the better off our entire life gets. And I think that's fantastic. I love it.
It's sort of like, by clearing out the extra weight and clearing out extra stuff in my house, and I don't know, it's clearing space.
Yeah. And you prioritize things like something that was incredibly important to you, this creative aspect, and because you were probably going to work and kind of sharing and watching other people be creative, and you were like, well, but I'm not being creative, and so it's really, really cool. Really, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'd watch my students painting and think, I want to paint. Not fair.
Yeah, and I love how much you're getting done by 8 a.m. I mean, that's incredible. I've gradually over my life gotten up earlier and earlier and earlier, and I struggle to get up much earlier than 6-ish. So, but it's something that my problem is on the back end is getting to bed at an acceptable time so that whenever I get up early.
Yeah.
So
go to bed when I'm getting up at 4. I'm usually going to bed at 8. It's not great, You get together with friends and they say, okay, what, you're leaving? You're leaving? It's only 7:30, and hey, I get up at 4. So, I make exceptions sometimes, but it's not easy. But I really love that morning, that really quiet morning time to do my thing, and it's like there's something sacred about it, and I'm just so glad that I have that, and it's worth it.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm not so out of it. I don't know. I'm excited to do that work in the morning, so I'm usually not too groggy. So
nice. So I want to just stop. If anybody who's watching, anybody else in an early morning riser, what time do you guys get up, and what is your routine? Please just throw in a comment. I'd love to see what you guys do. So, it's already been great. But one of the things I want to kind of get into is, you sound like you're in a really great place, but, there's always the next little hurdle and stuff like that. So I want to know kind of what you're struggling with and what challenges are you kind of still battling?
Yeah, for me, the biggest challenge is snacking. And I just, it's hard for me to just have 3 meals a day, and I will often get hungry between meals, so it's hard if I feel. And here's the one thing I noticed, especially if I'm working and I'm stressed. I can handle being hungry if I'm relaxed, but if I'm stressed out and I'm hungry, I just can't handle it. And the easiest way to fix that is to have something to eat, and because getting rid of the stress is much harder. So I will eat, but then when I start eating, I usually don't stop. So, and then I will have some massive snack, and then I will come home and I'll have dinner too, and then maybe a snack after that. So, that to me is the biggest challenge. And I think I've been working on strategies to deal with that, just, especially over the summer where I'm not stressed, is just not letting myself eat, just really sitting with it or working on my art. If I'm really into a project, I find that I can be hungry and not even notice. So the best thing is to just find something to do, like go for a walk or do some embroidery or I don't know, read a really good book. Although that's kind of hard because I can read a book and put one hand in the popcorn at the same time. If I'm sewing, I can't eat popcorn while I'm sewing. Or if I'm painting, I'm not going to want to eat paint. So, things where my hands are busy seems to help a lot. But that's a struggle every single day. And then when I'm at work, there might be muffins or something on the table in the kitchen, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't even think. My brain just goes, muffin, eat, and I don't care what it is, and so there's still in some problems there. So
I'm curious because this is something I struggle with as well. You talked about being stressed, and being hungry at the same time, and have you found ways to kind of deal with that in the moment? Like I know you said you meditate, so I didn't know if you were incorporated any kind of meditative techniques into that, or.
I haven't yet, but that would probably be a good idea if I have a moment to meditate. When I'm teaching, it's pretty busy, or there's no space to meditate. The one time I did try to meditate at school, someone walked in and said, "Oh, are you meditating?" I'm like, "Yeah."
So I don't I don't remember to do it very often. But so you can do like simple meditative breathing things, and the interesting thing is you can do it pretty much, unless you're like heavily exercising, but you can, like inhale for like maybe 3 to 5 seconds, hold it 3 to 5 seconds, exhale 3 to 5 seconds, and you just kind of do it a couple of times, probably at least 3 or 4 times. And it actually is one of these things that can kind of relieve tension or whatever. I only consistently used that whenever I was playing baseball a couple of years ago. I'd get in the batter's box and I'd use that to calm myself down. So, but it's something I wish I remembered to do more often. That's usually my big problem, is remembering to do these techniques in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard to remember in the moment when there are all sorts of things going on around you.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's awesome. Second to last question, which I think is one of the most actionable, critical things, is like what do you recommend for somebody who's just getting started?
Somebody who's getting started as
plant-based, vegan, or maybe they're looking to make that change.
I would say, from my experience, that it's not a sprint making that change. It's a marathon, and it's all about, they all say it's all lifestyle change, and it is truly lifestyle change. And I've tried to change my life in as many ways as I can.
You've definitely demonstrated that, I think. Yeah, with your story. Yeah, you totally have.
I didn't even talk about my teaching. I completely changed my teaching pedagogy. I turned it completely on end. And I won't get into that, but it's like, I mean, my day, everything is completely different. Almost everything. I kept my husband, he was a key. But, but it's really a marathon, and trying to do it all at once and to do it quickly it's too much. I mean, unless you have some serious health problem and you're going to do that. But, I think the lasting changes happen if you do it slowly over time. And so maybe just, dropping chicken and beef one week, and then the next week, maybe you drop fish or the next month. I mean, it doesn't even have to, just whenever you're ready, and then just slowly, transitioning. And I think that, if you do it slowly, it becomes part of your life and who you are in your lifestyle, and you don't think about what you're missing so much. So I don't know, just, or to break it down, break it down like I did. I broke down the house into a whole year. Like, I gave myself a year to go through everything in the house. So, and if you do it faster, great. But, I think slow is the way to go.
Nice. Did it take you a year to get through the house?
Yes, it did. Okay. Or a little bit less. I think at the end I got inspired and I did a little more. I kind of jumped ahead because I was excited about it because I was almost done. And then this year I'm actually going through the whole house again, and it's way easier the second time. Yeah, so, and it took a year to lose the 30 pounds, and yeah, I would have liked to have been faster, but, I see now how, just making slow changes over the year, or it is like I couldn't have done all of it at once. It was too overwhelming with work and everything to think about. Not only do I have to do all this stuff at work every day, but I have to drink 8 glasses of water. I can't snack. I've got to give up my, glass of wine at the end of the day, and I'm gonna, go for a walk. And I mean, it's just, you can't do all of that at once. It's too overwhelming.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, so to close out, what's the one, who is somebody we should interview next that you really have enjoyed?
Well, boy, you've actually interviewed a bunch of people who I really enjoy following, in Meal Mentor. And, when I filled out my little survey for you, I recommended my friend Sarah.
Okay.
She's lost a huge amount of weight. So hi, Sarah, if you're watching. and she teaches yoga, and, she has a daughter. And so she has, you have the whole component of being vegan with a child. And, she's been very inspirational to me and very supportive. I remember it was, maybe October of last year. I was at a party and everyone was eating this fried chicken around me. And it wasn't that I wanted it. I was just upset. I felt so alone and so isolated. I'm typing it on Facebook and in Meal Mentor. Oh my God, everyone's eating chicken. I can't handle it. And she said, she sent me a message saying, do I have to come over there and get you? Do you need an intervention? I'm like, maybe. So,
I love that you were doing this at the party whenever you were feeling, the what you were going through. So that's really funny. I
yeah,
that.
I need my people. Somebody help me, because I felt so alone. Even my husband, even though he wasn't really eating meat anymore, he's like, "Ooh, fried chicken." So it got better when all the chicken was gone, but
yeah.
And so I had a few moments, and I need my Meal Mentor people to feel like I'm not alone.
That's awesome. Well, I think we should end on that. This was a fantastic interview. I really enjoyed it, Pam, and thanks so much for taking the time to do this with us today.
Yeah, it was cool to talk to you. Scott, I was so excited. I think I barely slept last night. So it's cool that I'm on vacation. I can take a nap later.
Nice. Well, enjoy the last few weeks or days that you have until you go back to work, and this was fantastic. I'm glad we got it in before your school year started. You probably couldn't have done it in the middle of the day like this. So.
No, and also, I just want to say, as a teacher, I know there's other teachers out there. I just make time on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, and I batch cook 3 or 4, or usually 3 of the family meals, and I pack it all up. And I make the overnight oats so that every morning there's no fuss in the kitchen. I put it in mason jars. I just grab my jars and put them in my bag, and off I go. And
awesome.
And having that food already made makes such a difference, because I'm less likely to eat something that I shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
Even if it's vegan, so, it just, I feel like the meal prep has just saved me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very great. This has been great. Thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody.
Hey, thanks, and say hi to Lindsay for me.
Yeah, will do. Bye.
Thanks, Scott. Bye.